You're listening to Her Money, Her Business, a podcast for women starting or growing their own business. And it features episodes about knowing your finances, improving your money confidence, and growing a profitable business that's built to last. If you wish you were good with money, want to feel more confident managing your money, or want to struggle less while making money, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Sonja Balzarolo, business financials coach, bookkeeper, and champion for women who want to be the master of their own financials. So let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today is episode 31 and we're talking today about getting back to basics in your business. So this month on my socials, on my newsletter called Money News, I am having a back to basics month. So each month I'm picking a topic that I'm focusing on. So last month I focused on goal setting, coming out of that slower December, January period. And now coming into March, I really wanted to help business owners get back to basics. It's a great time of year to look at what it is that you're doing in your business, how to set yourself up for success for the rest of the year, particularly if you've now got your goals in place. Have you got the basics there that are going to keep you on track and build that strong foundation? So today I did a post on socials just talking about the podcast coming out tomorrow or Thursday as it is for you, so if you're listening on release day. And I had a post that said you can't build a great building on a weak foundation, and you can't build a great business on a weak foundation. So when we look at our house or buildings, etc., obviously they have to be built on a strong foundation, otherwise they're just going to fall over. And it's the same thing with our business. If you have weak foundations, or if you don't have the foundations in place, building and growing is just going to be much more difficult than it needs to be. But also you're going to find roadblocks along the way because you're constantly having to fill gaps. You're constantly having to problem solve and fix issues because you haven't had the right things in place to help you. You're going to find it hard to hire staff and delegate your work because you don't have things in place that are foundational that will help you do that. And you're probably overcomplicating your business and how you do things. You may also be doing everything yourself. And so having some foundations in place, even if right now you can't see yourself hiring someone for a little while, getting those foundations in place now will actually help you get to the point where you're ready to hire someone and everything's in place to help you do that and do that smoothly so that you don't have problems implementing people into your business and then have problems giving them things to do that make your life easier, because that's the whole point. And that's also part of growing and scaling your business. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, is the business basics, and also just why it's important for women in business in particular to have the business basics in place. So women in business are generally not just running their business. They've got a life outside of their business. A lot of us are mums. A lot of us are married. A lot of us have other things we do outside of our business besides running our business. And that's obviously important for self-care, to have things outside of your business. We take on a lot and we do a lot as women. And so when we're also running a business, there just needs to be a systemized way of doing things, strong foundations that don't have you chasing your tail all the time. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say foundations. I'm talking about things like having systems in place so that you know what your processes are each week, having ways of simplifying the doing in your business. So are there repeatable tasks that you can automate? Are there ways of saving time like batching? Do you have systems and processes in place so that you can hire staff and delegate work to them easily? Do you have a way of managing your business well? You see how it's going, how it's tracking, how you're tracking to your goals. Are you growing? Are you spending the right amount of money based on where you're at? Do your expenses and your sales match up well? So you're not spending too much and not selling enough, or selling lots and causing yourself a lot of work, which is a great problem to have, but then not spending enough to support you to keep growing or to keep sustaining that increased growth. So that might be spending some money on staff or systems or things that make your job easier. So if you're a baker, things that make your ability to make more cakes easier, etc., that sort of thing. So there's always times to spend in your business when you're growing. And so do you have things in place where you know when you're getting to that point and that you can make good business decisions and good financial decisions? Do you have basic money systems in place to make your job easier? So that would be an accounting system, a separate bank account, a bookkeeper if you're at that point and you need one, or at least a good way of tracking your money and reconciling it and knowing what's coming in and out each month and quarter and year. So those are the sorts of things that I'm talking about, having those foundations in place. So what I'm going to do next week on the podcast is actually share with you 7 different foundations and simple ways that you can get started with those. So some simple steps that you can take action and start putting things in place if you don't have them. Some of them you've probably already got in place and you can just skip to the next one. But I want to give you some practical things that you can actually use to go and check that you've got foundations in place. And then if you don't, some things you can do to actually put them in place. So getting back to what I started talking about, which is why it's important for women in business to have the business basics in place. I talked a little bit about the many things that we do as women, both inside of our business and outside of our business. So inside of our business, we're often doing lots more things than we need to be doing. We are constantly caring for other people. So whether that's our customers or outside of work, whether it's our families, etc. So we just take a different approach to business, I believe, my opinion. And so having lots of systems and processes in place, to me, is a woman's best friend in business. It's about making your life a whole lot easier, making your time as efficient as possible, and also breaking that idea that 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 or 3 in 5, whatever the statistic is, of businesses will fail within the first 5 years. Whatever that statistic is, it is not a good one. So what I really want you to be able to do is build a sustainable business, build the foundations now well, build those things and put those things in place that help you build a sustainable business that's around for a long time, and also put those things in place that help you scale and grow your business and keep it growing again for a long time. So be around for as long as you want to be around. Don't fall into that statistic of businesses that close within the first 5 years of opening. We don't want that for women in business. We want to build long-term, sustainable, abundant businesses that do what we want them to do for us in our lives. And often in the women that I work with, that is freedom and independence and obviously financial gain and the ability to do what we want to do as women and as women in business. And so building that sustainable long-term business absolutely comes back to getting those basics in place. So I'm not going to harp on too much about this. I just wanted to introduce that concept of back to basics and what I want to talk about as well next week on the podcast, but also just giving you something to think about around what are the basics in your business. Have you got the basics in place? Are there things that you've had on your to-do list that you'll get to, and they're stopping you really from scaling and growing your business or going to that next level or hiring staff members, or you just feel like you're constantly chasing your tail because you've got so much on your to-do list. That's where I want to leave it today. I hope that's been of some help and some thought-provoking questions for you around thinking about your business basics and how that's relevant to your business. I'll talk to you next week on the podcast where we'll go into some small steps that will help you take action to get the basics into your business. Bye for now. This episode was brought to you by my mini course, Money In, Money Out. Head over to the website, blossomingbusiness.com.au, for this episode's show notes under podcasts. And if you're ready to stop flying blind and tackle those finances, then sign up and get started on the Money In, Money Out course. So for still being here and being a podcast listener, you can use the discount code MIMO15 and get 15% off the course. So that's MIMO, number 1 and number 5, MIMO15. So you've been listening to the Her Money, Her Business podcast with me, Sonja Balzarolo. If you've enjoyed this episode, please also head over to iTunes and leave us a review. It really does help to get the podcast out to more people, and I love hearing your feedback. So thanks for listening. Here's to knowing your finances and growing your business, because it's your money and your business.